Hello, and welcome back to our channel. I know it's been a while since I've talked to you, but my name is Rosie. I am the artist behind Wandercrafter and the creator and coach of the Craft Academy. So, I wanted to talk to you about the one possible thing that could actually be hurting your profitability. And I talked to so many calligraphy business owners that keep doing this thing. In fact, it actually hurt me for 3 really long years before I actually changed it and started turning a profit. And that one thing is, you probably guessed it, is having a niche. So let me explain. Back in 2017, I came up with Wandercrafter as a side hustle to pay off my pharmacy school loans. I didn't know the first thing about business, but I knew I loved calligraphy enough, and I really wanted to figure it out. It was a challenge, kind of like pharmacy school, that I knew I wanted, well, actually needed to conquer. And so it began. During the first 3 years, I actually made hair bows, cake toppers, banners, stickers, planners, welcome signs, place cards, you name it, anything from the calligraphy industry, I probably did it. Which, side note, is why I have successfully taught my clients about the do's and don'ts about every aspect of a calligraphy business in my program, the Craft Academy. You can actually find out more using the link in the description and book a strategy call with me to see if we're actually a good fit to work with each other. Anyway, the main reason why I made all of those items was because I had clients who asked for it. And as you can already tell, I love challenges and making things with my hands. So I did hours and hours of research, bought all the supplies at all the hardware stores, and made it for them. I actually really enjoyed the challenge and the newness of everything, but eventually I got tired of the cycle. The problem was, I usually didn't love it enough to actually keep selling the product, and after factoring in the cost of supplies, I probably profited about $20 after that one single order. At the end of the project, I was always left with tons of supplies I knew I would never ever use again. So you probably guessed it by now. My profitability was in the toilet because I didn't actually have a niche. I didn't have that one thing I was really good at. I wasn't known for this one thing. And so I started realizing that because I was everything to everyone, I was actually nothing to no one. And I tell this to my students all the time. I highly recommend reading the book called The One Thing by Gary Keller if you're feeling stuck in this cycle. As I was reading it, the light bulbs were actually going off in my head about what I should and could be doing with my business. I was starting to get a better idea about how I could niche down and really get better at what I'm doing with my business. I started to feel super excited, but also really nervous and mostly afraid to pivot and start saying no to a lot of my really good clients. Ultimately, I was afraid of letting my clients down, afraid of losing money, afraid of the potential success I could have once I actually found the one thing that would make me successful. These are really weird fears, but undoubtedly true. The mind does some weird things to protect itself, just to, justify things and keep you comfortable with where you're at, even if it's not exactly where you want to be or where to go. The craziest thing I realized is the more you actually say no to the jobs that don't bring you joy, the closer you actually get to a yes from your ideal client. Not only that, but it makes you feel so much more powerful and in line with the mission statement of your business. Once you have your niche figured out, that actually helps you identify who your ideal client is, and that's really when the magic starts. At the end of the day, this makes your business work for you rather than the other way around. Now, if all of this sounds in line with what you need with your calligraphy business and you want guidance in doing so, definitely take a minute and book a strategy call with me. The Craft Academy is literally everything that I know now, combined with everything I wish I knew when I first started in 2017. So, fast forward 3 years later into my business, after trying and selling everything I could on the market, I realized in the summer of 2020, I knew I had to find my niche and really focus in on where I wanted to go with my business and what I wanted to do with it. Ultimately, it came down to the impact that I wanted to give and create with my engraving services. I realized that I loved engraving. There was a huge market for it,
and it was profitable. Most of all, I was really freaking good at it, and the time would go by so fast when I was engraving. I knew this was the right way to go. And that's not to say that that's the right route for everybody. I have students in all aspects of calligraphy, whether it's cards, physical products, services, weddings, you name it, we do it. And so many of my students are successful. So, starting in the beginning of 2021, I made the conscious decision to only offer engraving. I started off by selling all of the things that I didn't want to do anymore, or even just giving it away because I needed it out of my life. I started off by fixing my messaging and the purpose of my business. Then I started accepting studio orders to build my portfolio. I fortunately was able to blow up on TikTok and even started pitching myself to my ideal brands. Eventually, I started getting hired consistently for these live events, particularly for the holidays and including PR or influencer events.
And guess what? My business actually blew up. It was crazy. It probably doubled in revenue within a couple months. And that is not something that I take very lightly. And this is why I hammer this message home all the time with my students. I actually became the expert at engraving and live events, particularly. So people trusted me to deliver it really well, to provide an amazing experience for their guests so that people could actually use that as their heirlooms and wedding gifts and things like that. And it turns out it's actually much easier to market one thing really, really well than to market 20 things really subpar. So remember, where your energy goes, your success flows as well. And I tell this all the time to my students. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm actually still doing these random non-engraving orders, but usually it's only for my VIP and celebrity clients because we have a really long-standing relationship together. But pretty much for the most part, my business is primarily engraving live events. I hope this video and my experience gives you more courage to do the things that you want to do, to really say no to the things that don't particularly bring you joy, and say yes to the things that do, especially when it comes to your ideal client and some of the jobs that you want to work. See you in the next video, and happy engraving, everyone!